Here we got Legend of Winner, aka Low. LeBron is exposing the Lakers' biggest nightmare. His age?
After 20 games into the regular season, the Lakers have had a relatively slow start, which is certainly concerning for a team that has expectations of make a deep postseason run and, dare I even say, compete for a championship. And yet here we are this early on in the season, and they find themselves quickly at the bottom of the conference. With double-digit games in the loss column, an offense that has consistently been at the bottom of the barrel, and at its worst, it's been historically bad. And even though, yes, defensively the numbers may look a little bit more favorable, I don't think the Lakers are good on that side of the floor either. And if you are someone who is a bit hesitant to push a panic button, I believe the loss against the Indiana Pacers on Monday night is the perfect culmination of all of the concerns that many people have with this roster, as the Lakers blew a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter in dramatic fashion.
70-point leads?
Now, most of the problems that the Lakers face are easy to identify, and I'll go over them in the video. However, there is one massive problem with this team that hovers over this franchise like a black cloud, and yet it seems like no one is willing to address it. And even though it may come across a bit taboo, I still think it's necessary to highlight this problem so the Lakers don't find themselves in a much bigger hole moving forward. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's go back to some of those more identifiable concerns. First, offensively, the Lakers have struggled mightily to put the ball in the basket in any consistent and effective way. And even though there are several contributing factors, the biggest one is easily the lack of three-point shooting on this team. Now, I know, I sound like a broken record, but it is true. In today's game, if your team struggles with the long ball, they are bound to be stagnant offensively. And the Lakers certainly fit the bill. Shooting slightly above 32% with a long ball not only makes them one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the NBA this year, but also makes them one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the past decade. And if that isn't enough, what's even more backbreaking for this offense is how consistently the players on this team are missing three-pointers when they're left wide open. According to NBA.com, the Lakers are shooting a miserable 33% on open three-point shots. And for those who don't know, is when the closest defender is 6 feet or further removed from the shooter. And yet the Lakers are still missing those three-pointers nearly 70% of the time. Now, of course, those are characteristic traits that nobody in the NBA would like to have, but it's even more detrimental when the three most offensively influential players on the team are best utilized when they're getting to the basket, and LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook. Because of the lack of complementary style amongst these teammates, just running any type of offensive set becomes an extreme hassle. And even if a clean play is ran, it's still tough to finish because help is always just one step away. Of course, as time continues to progress, things will change. I don't expect LeBron to continue to shoot in the 20s from behind the arc. And to be fair to the Lakers, over the past couple of games, they've looked much better from the three ball because they used to be shooting sub 31% from deep. However, even with the improvements that we'll be seeing throughout the year, I do not believe that the Lakers will ever be a respectable three-point shooting team because of the personnel. Of course, some of these things can be addressed through a Russell Westbrook trade potentially, but even then, there's a lot of things you could potentially give up defensively on that side of the floor if you go on that route, which brings us to the other side of the floor. And defensively, I understand that the numbers may say otherwise, but I am not convinced that this team is good on that side of the floor either. The biggest reason why I feel this way is because I genuinely believe the weak schedule has inflated the defensive numbers so much so that many people have convinced themselves that this is a quality defensive team. However, when the Lakers are going up against a more well-balanced offensive-oriented team, such as the Utah Jazz, Golden State Warriors, and Sacramento Kings, they have absolutely no answer at all. And a huge reason for this is because they just don't have the personnel to do so. On the perimeter, the lack of size continues to hurt the Lakers, and even when it comes to some of the smaller guards, the lack of foot speed to be a quality point of attack defender also isn't there either. The Pacers thrived on this all game long, as even slower-footed players like Buddy Hield were able to get deep into the paint with little to no resistance. And then in the paint, outside of Anthony Davis, there really isn't any quality interior defenders either. Speaking of AD, he does a really great job of covering up a lot of the blemishes from the Lakers on this side of the floor, but there's only so much that he can do, especially when he has his hands full with a more offensively talented big man. Again, we saw this against the Pacers as AD was stretched out to the perimeter trying to defend Miles Turner, and anytime that he was trying to send help, the Pacers immediately punished him because of it. Similar things also occurred against the Golden State Warriors and the Utah Jazz as well, so this has been a common theme throughout the season. And as great as Anthony Davis has been, he just can't cover up everything. Because of the high turnover with the roster, the lack of continuity and chemistry is very prevalent with this team. The lack of guidance and communication on how the team is supposed to defend screens was exploited routinely from the Pacers all fourth quarter long, and the non-existent communication continued to hurt this team, especially in transition, as the Lakers continued to leave open wide open three-point shooters during fast breaks. But the biggest problem with the Lakers early on this season is that LeBron just hasn't been LeBron. The counting stats are there, but the accuracy and efficiency is still missing. The lack of explosiveness and the inability to manipulate opposing teams' defenses is unbearably obvious. And even as James got older, he was still a very sound and smart defender, but the level of execution that is needed from him on that side of the floor has been absent as well. This was on display all fourth quarter long against the Pacers when LeBron hijacked the offense through several possessions, slowed down the pace, and allowed the Pacers to set up their defense against a team that doesn't have that much floor spacing at all, which basically made the entire possession a throwaway and quick, easy points for the Pacers on the other side of the floor. Heck, even if you look at the last possession of the game, LeBron is just aimlessly hanging around the paint, knowing that the Pacers need a three-pointer to win the game. Now, I'm pretty sure many people believe that the criticism that I am leveraging towards LeBron is unfair, and honestly, I agree. LeBron is 38 years old in year 20 and has clocked in north of 50,000 regular season minutes. At this stage of his career, having the expectations to go out there and perform as a top 5 to 7 player on a night-to-night basis is unreasonable. And I would go as far as to say someone at his age, with the amount of miles that he's put on his body, the performances that he is putting up on a night-to-night basis are still he's put on his body. The performances that he is putting up on a night-to-night basis are still really good. But unfortunately, it's not.
I remember these niggas winning the All-Star game together. Like, every nigga was like, yo, LeBron and Westbrook together on our team will go crazy.
Good enough for the Lakers.
I love Westbrook.
And that is the true problem of the Los Angeles Lakers. Look, this is not a video of me trying to talk down on one of the greatest players of all time. And I don't even know if this is the real regression of LeBron. There's a huge possibility that his impact was diminished thanks to a foot injury or an illness that he sustained early on in the season. But the bigger problem is, regardless of why LeBron is playing so poorly early on this season, what it has revealed is how dependent this roster is on the excellence of LeBron and Anthony Davis to perform at top 5 or top 7 levels on a game-to-game basis. Now, many people may say that's not a problem because that's essentially what this roster was back in 2020 when they won a championship. However, to those people, I believe that you're missing a lot of the nuance and the brilliance of why that team was so great. That championship unit featured great defensive perimeter-oriented players, not only at the point of attack, but also with their wings. Then inside, the rotations of JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard freed up Anthony Davis to do a lot more roaming around, which really maximized his impact on the defensive side of the floor. And then you still had quality three-point shooters who, even when they weren't knocking down their shots consistently, were still viewed in a respectable enough light to keep the defense honest. That Lakers team was not only well-rounded enough for them to win a championship, but in the following season, when Anthony Davis missed essentially half of the year and LeBron missed a good amount of games as well, this team still found themselves in the playoffs with the #1 ranked defense in the NBA. And trust me when I say we all know that that could not be said about this unit at all. And to be fair, LeBron did request a trade for Westbrook that dismantled a lot of those championship features that the Lakers roster once possesses. So it's pretty ironic and sad that in year 20, LeBron is still being depended on to this level, but at the end of the day, he really has no one else to blame but himself. And the reason why all this is important is because for the past 6 to 10 months now, the Lakers fan base has been sold this idea that this team is just one Westbrook trade away for competing for a championship. However, with the poor performance from LeBron early on this season, regardless of its regression or not, it is very clear that a trade of Miles Turner and Buddy Hield to add some three-point shooting to the roster is not going to address all of the concerns and more than likely won't be good enough to justify leveraging even more of your future. Because FYI, just a quick reminder, the Lakers have already
bro. If I'm Indiana, I just beat the Lakers with 2 niggas that they don't want to trade for yet.
Doing some of their picks in these upcoming draft classes, and if they dig even deeper in the barrel just for some slight improvements for a roster that still can't compete for a deep postseason run this year or next, once AD and LeBron are free agents, which for those who don't know, next season is the last guaranteed year on their contract. So not only are they coming off the books at the same time, but that is also the same year in which LeBron's son is getting drafted into the league, and he's already made it clear that he loves the idea of playing alongside with him. The Lakers going all in during the last 2 years of the LeBron James era, when during those last 2 seasons, the team still won't be good enough to compete, will undeniably handcuff this team for the foreseeable future, and there won't be much to show for it. If we're being honest with ourselves, if this wasn't the Lakers, conversations of just blowing this team up, especially with how poorly they started the year, would be taken much more serious. But here I am making a video that should be common sense, because I'm not 100% sure of the direction in which this franchise is willing to go just to maximize 2 more mediocre seasons. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Please let me know what you think about the video in the comment section below. In the month of December, the Lakers schedule is a bit more daunting, which I believe is a much better test to determine how good this roster really is, because I'm basically not impressed with any of the Laker wins and how good this roster really is, because I'm basically not impressed with any of the Laker wins. They'd be the Pelicans without Ingram, the Nets without Kyrie and Ben Simmons, the Pistons without Cade Cunningham, the Portland Trailblazers without Dame, and then you have 3 wins against the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, none of that is moving me whatsoever. But let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below.
Also,
until next time, I'll see you all later.
That's jokes. Look at this face.
Peace.
Hey, like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here. Bye.